Welcome back to Arabic Fashion and Style. So in today's DIY class, we're going to be learning how to make these back bodies with both zipper and lacing back. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So I'm installing this lacing bar to this back panel that I already cut out. This is the center back and this is the side back, and the lacing bar is going to be in between the center back and side back. We are doing this because we want to have a zipper. You can see my zipper allowance as well as a lacing bar, so that after zipping it up you can still lace it up to adjust it to whatever waist measurement that you want. So to do this, remember I said you're going to be putting it in between these two dot lines. So what you just need to do is to measure what you have there, and here I have about 10.5 inches. Okay, so remember we're going to sew it on both sides by half an inch. So I'm going to deduct that and I'll be left with 9.5 inches. So now that 9.5 inches that I have, I'll go ahead and use it to cut out a strip of fabric. So the fabric is 9.5 inches long, as you have seen. By the time I sew it on both sides now, it will leave me with around 9 inches, which is fine for me. So now I have it 9.5 inches in length, and then the width is around 4 to 5 inches. Okay, so I have 4 inches here. So that's 9.5 inches by 4 inches, and I have 2 of it for each side of my back. So what I'm going to do, because I'm going to be making eyelets holes here, I'll first iron my interfacing on it just to strengthen the fabric more, and then after ironing my interfacing, I'll put the fabric on fold like this. Okay, so when you fold it now, you have 2 inches, and then I'll go ahead and run my stitch. So I have added the interfacing. Now what I'm going to do now is to put it on fold like this, and then I'll go ahead and sew on these two sides. Okay, so I have sewn it now. I'm just going to trim down the seam allowance a little bit, and then I'll turn to the right side and iron it. So now here I'm going to turn it to the right side, and then I'm going to iron it down. Okay, so I have ironed it. The next thing is to add your boning to it. So you can either work with plastic bone like this, or you work with a regular bone. A plastic bone is stronger than this. You can actually sew on this. So what you just need to do is to cut it into the size of this lacing bar, and then you open it up. So after opening it up like this, you put your boning inside to the extreme like this, to the end. Okay, so I can feel my boning like this, and then you take it to your sewing machine and run a stitch just like this. So you run your stitch. This is to strengthen the lacing bar because of the pulling that is going to go on that particular lacing bar. So now, because I'm putting a plastic bone here, it is not sewable, so you have to be very careful. So you can see, just sew very close to your bone. You don't need to sew on it so that it does not break your needle. Okay, so I have sewn it down. As you can see, this stitch is going to prevent the bone from moving all about. So now after sewing it, the next line that I'm going to make is going to be the line for my eyelet. Okay, so I'm just going to, from the seam, I'm just going to mark like half an inch all round to the hem, and then I'm going to make it into a straight line. Then I'll take this half an inch to the sewing machine as well, and then I'm going to sew it. So that's where I'm going to be making my holes for my eyelet. Okay, so you can see. So now I'll take it to the sewing machine now and then run a stitch. So now after running my stitch, the next thing I'm going to do now is to open it up again and then insert another bone. Okay, all of this is just to make it strong. So now I'll insert another bone, and then I'm going to push it inwards again. So you can see I still have half an inch to sew it to my dart. So I'll go ahead and just sew on this bone again. So I have done this for the two sides, and I've gone ahead to iron it. So you can see this line without the boning in the middle is where you're going to be adding your eyelet. So now the next thing is to bring in your bodies, just the main bodies. Okay, you separate that from the lining, and then I'm going to go ahead now and place my lacing bar in between the lining. So you leave space here to join the yoke on the upper part, and then you leave space to sew on the lower part as well. So you can see I am placing it. So after placing it, you go ahead and place your your center back on it as well, and then you run your stitch on both sides. Okay, so I have sewn it down. Remember, my zipper allowance is just here. Okay, so this is our lacing bar right here. So now, because I'm adding yoke to this, I'll go ahead and place my yoke on my bodice and sew. If you are not adding yoke, you just turn everything with your lining once. So now I'll just place my yoke here and then go ahead and sew it down. Then after sewing my yoke, I'm going to bring my lining and cover it and sew to turn it as well. Okay, so I'm gonna head to sew it, and then I'm going to notch the corners so that I can relax well, and then you just deeply put your hand inside and turn it out. Okay, if you're going to be putting bonies at the back, you should do this before you turn it. For me, I'm just going to be putting I'm not putting boning on this at all, but I'll put a boning casing in front just to have that boning illusion. Okay, so if you want to do that to the back as well, you must have placed it and put it there before you turn it out like this. So now this is what we have. You just need to take it to the ironing table now, and then you give it a good press. Okay, so this is what our dress looks like on the mannequin. I have gone ahead to fix my zipper, and then this is what it looks like. So you can just decide to use your zipper like this, or you just lace it up with your rope just like we have here. So this is actually beautiful. You can actually use a zipper or decide to start your waist a little bit with your lace up like this. I hope you enjoy making this beautiful tutorial with you. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.